Oh,
All right. Since you guys already know who we are, I'm just going to skip past this part because we've been doing this for every week now almost. Our group case study is on Hindustan Unilever Limited. Their core purpose was to bring vitality to life. Part of their core purpose was also to meet the everyday needs of people. If you look at this picture, that's actually from Lifeboat. The name of the company was actually United Traders Limited, and Hindustan Unilever Limited was made from three companies: Hindustan Advanced Body Manufacturing, Lever Brothers, and United Traders. Their core values are always working with integrity, positive impact, and that refers to obviously positive impact on the communities that they serve, continuous commitment to providing these services for people and helping to elevate the community, and setting out aspirations, and that's basically focusing on their corporate goals, and working with others, and that refers to their suppliers and value chain members. So what's the significance of conflict zones in emerging economies? This man to your right actually is Paul Collier, and he wrote a book and came up with a concept called the bottom billion. He's a professor of economics at Oxford. And in the bottom billion, one of the tenets was what he called the conflict trap. And in the conflict trap, you basically have players that, as conflicts go on, they become more and more powerful, and it becomes more and more difficult to uproot them. The conflict trap is a self-perpetuating entity that cost countries on average $64 billion in civil wars. The longer a country stays in conflict, the more players like the ULFA become established and profit from the chaos. This is actually the symbol of the United Liberation, excuse me, I'm gonna make sure I get that right. Yep, United Liberation Front of Assam. And they have approximately 10,000 members. And if you remember what I was just saying about the conflict trap, as these players become more and more powerful, companies that operate in these zones become more and more, or the opportunities to extort them grow. And the case study talks about the attack on the residential officers colony after an extortion attempt. And if you guys remember this quote from the case study about the truth of not being able to have a thriving business in a failing society, that is really the number one reason why operating in a conflict zone for multinational corporations becomes a significant factor. Whether they're willing to or not, they become aid agencies too to try and combat the effects of these players like the ULFA. What drivers were behind HUL's decision to invest in the Assam? Well, during the case study, they talked about how 21 of 28 of India's states had some sort of conflict going on. So it really wasn't in their best interest to try and go somewhere else, because at some point they would have to deal with these issues. The Indian government offered its 10-year special tax and central excise concession for manufacturing units. And since that area actually had a higher literacy rate than the other areas, it was a better, for as far as resources goes, a better area to start a business. And their motto was doing well by doing good. So it was actually part of their core values to start a business in the area to try and help the community and fight against some of the issues as far as with labor issues and ULFA and other players that were trying to extort company businesses. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's fine.
Understand strategy. As Paul talked about, they want to stick to their core values. Focus on the well-being of society and the environment. Issues that they want to address is water scarcity, poverty, also things that deal with low awareness of health, nutrition, and hygiene. They feel that if they don't address these issues, it'll create a barrier that doesn't allow the business to grow. Also, we have low cost of products without compromising quality, and customer-friendly products. Factors deciding whether to make fresh investments in Assam is a community support, evaluation of cost and benefit, and communication to the CR issues. They want to keep the QR issues intact. SWOT analysis. We have our strength, the largest fast-growing consumer good sector company in India. Production costs are low, so that allows high profit margins. They're one of the largest exporters. Weaknesses are tough competition. There are many substitute products and high advertising costs. Their opportunity is increase in income. As income is going up, allows them to go after people's disposable income as they make more money. There's a growing middle class and globalization. Threats include brand mimicking, tax and regulation, and there's no restrictions on imports.
Thank you, Wasan. Thank you, Paul, for your first. All right. Investment has its own rewards. In founding of the Investment Community Relations Program, the company found out that by investing in these programs, you could develop a closer relationship with the community, and you didn't have as many conflicts. You didn't have as many conflicts. Well, one of the questions is, should the company continue to make investments in this area? One of the advantages, of course, is they'd already made a major investment in the area because they had developed this relationship with the community, and although they had episodes of militancy and some other issues and some labor relations, they'd already made a major investment in this area, and by the community relations program, they could expand their relationship with the community and make for some labor peace, and make for some things to go forward. Again, because we also have a large degree of literacy. Given the current business environment, again, sometimes it can be hostile. Of course, every environment can be hostile. But again, because they had made an investment in the community, they wanted to make sure that they had something going forward to make the thing more profitable for everyone. By making a major investment, they increased the representation of management in the senior management and junior management, and a lot of the employees came from that area. So again, making an investment in your area makes your community involvement more peaceful. What can we learn from this? We can learn certainly when you're going to make an investment in the community, and I know I've said that several times. When you're going to make an investment in the community, you have less militancy, you have less stress, because that community is invested in you. They're going to try to invest in you. They're going to try to protect you. They're going to go and do those things necessary to protect their investment and their investment as stakeholders. What did we learn? Again, if you make an investment in the community, if you invest both in this situation, the infrastructure, the roads needed to be building. So they made some investments in structure. They made some changes in their governance of the area by investing in local government, and they wanted to create goodwill. All right. How can other businesses do this? Again, like I said, it goes back to the same things. I know we're operating on the same things, but in this situation, I think it's important. You need to invest in the community. You need to build a goodwill situation. You need to make sure that people are involved in your business. You want to make sure that your stakeholders have a vested interest in your enterprise. I think you can all read this, but again, the thing that I want to make sure that I stress is the local dialogue with stakeholders. Again, you want to make sure that the people are involved there, because we know many times involvement in relationships with communities. When there's no relationship between the company and the stakeholders, there's no dialogue between the stakeholders, then you have a situation for rebellion and for other bad things to happen. Questions?
You guys have a question? Now, if you go back, a couple of comments I have, you spent great amount of time into also looking for additional material. What I would recommend to you would be, first, state the problem. Say this is a case for Hindustan Unilever, and the case is about that they had started an operation in Assam, and now they are, the question about whether they should, the company wants to expand at production facility. They don't know whether they should put it in Assam or they put it in another location. So we want it, so that would be clear to audience what the situation is and what the problem. I mean, you did that one, but you want to bring that one up front.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a company that we are now, the case is about this company, and then this is the problem they are facing or the situation they are facing, and we are going to make a recommendation whether they do expansion in this facility or do complete operation somewhere else. And also they had one option, you mentioned that one. So they can do three things, either to expand or not to expand, and then do expansion somewhere else, or to come and close the operation. You already touched on that one. The other thing also I would go in terms of your SWOT analysis. If you go back to your SWOT analysis, and the case talks about very clearly about issues they have in terms of extortion. You didn't mention that one, the threat. This is a major area they have. You talk about it, but that should be also in your SWOT analysis. The extortion. Another one which was very big in the case in terms of what the union. They wanted to form union, and there was a lawsuit which is still going on at the time of writing of the case. You recall that one?
Yes.
So that was another, where it might be part of threat or the part of the weakness in terms of not clearing the situation with the union. And again, the case didn't talk that much about. I mean, you talk about competition, many substitute products, high advertising costs. I don't know where you got those. It was not being stated in the case, that they are having so much competition. Maybe I'm wrong. Was it anything discussion about competition?
No, they didn't have much competition. They
Was
had.
anything about the
No,
competition?
they talked about competition.
They
in the
talked
case.
about it.
They
They
talked
talked
about
about,
competition.
okay, so.
I
But
think
it was
the biggest
mostly-
thing was the
No, they
development
just said
of
that they were the
infrastructure,
largest. They said
high
that they were-
transportation costs.
Okay, so other thing you want to do is that, if you judge like something, you can, don't have to admit what they're saying. For example, to me, and you're all charging at me, yes, we had competition. That's fine, you can do that one with judges too.
They talked about transportation costs because they didn't have
Yes.
the infrastructure, right?
Yes.
In the
Yes.
beginning,
Yeah.
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 Right.
But again, I'm hoping you read the chapter. Did you do that or not?
Yeah, well, yeah, wait.
You read
read
the chapter
you did
about
read the chapter.
corporate social responsibility, but again, you touch on that one in order to, you need to build up, the society, you need to, when they see and you have to, help the society. So it was, what I would say was, you worked very hard, you brought in also additional materials about the, the conflict. It was very good.
Yep.
So Grant, you don't have any question to ask these guys? No. Okay. Cut!